June 30th, 2024, 13th Sunday in Ordinary Time.
A reading from the Book of Wisdom. God did not make death, nor does he rejoice in the destruction of the living. For he fashioned all things that they might have being, and the creatures of the world are wholesome. And there is not a destructive drug among them, nor any domain of the netherworld on earth. For justice is undying. For God formed man to be imperishable. The image of his own nature he made him. But by the envy of the devil, death entered the world, and they who belong to his company experience it. The word of the Lord.
I will praise you, Lord, for you have rescued me. I will praise you, Lord, for you have rescued me. I will extol you, O Lord, for you drew me clear, and did not let my enemies rejoice over me. O Lord, you brought me up from the netherworld. You preserved me from among those going down into the pit. I will praise you, Lord, for you have rescued me. Sing praise to the Lord, you his faithful ones, and give thanks to his holy name. For his anger lasts but a moment, a lifetime his goodwill. At nightfall weeping enters in, but with the dawn rejoicing. I will praise you, Lord, for you have rescued me. Hear, O Lord, and have pity on me. O Lord, be my helper. You changed my mourning into dancing. O Lord my God, forever will I give you thanks. I will praise you, Lord, for you have rescued me.
A reading from the second letter of St. Paul to the Corinthians. Brothers and sisters, as you excel in every respect, in faith, discourse, knowledge, all earnestness, and in the love we have for you, may you excel in this gracious act also. For you know the gracious act of our Lord Jesus Christ, that though he was rich, for your sake he became poor, so that by his poverty you might become rich. Not that others should have relief while you are burdened, but that as a matter of equality, your abundance at the present time should supply their needs, so that their abundance may also supply your needs, that there may be equality. As it is written, whoever had much did not have more, and whoever had little did not have less. The word of the Lord.
A reading from the Holy Gospel according to Mark. When Jesus had crossed again in the boat to the other side, a large crowd gathered around him, and he stayed close to the sea. One of the synagogue officials, named Jairus, came forward. Seeing him, he fell at his feet and pleaded earnestly with him, saying, "My daughter is at the point of death. Please, come lay your hands on her, that she may get well and live." He went off with him, and a large crowd followed him and pressed upon him. There was a woman afflicted with hemorrhages for 12 years. She had suffered greatly at the hands of many doctors and had spent all that she had. Yet she was not helped, but only grew worse. She had heard about Jesus and came up behind him in the crowd and touched his cloak. She said, "If I but touch his clothes, I shall be cured." Immediately, her flow of blood dried up. She felt in her body that she was healed of her affliction. Jesus, aware at once that power had gone out from him, turned around in the crowd and asked, "Who has touched my clothes?" But his disciples said to Jesus, "You see how the crowd is pressing upon you, and yet you ask, 'Who touched me?'" And he looked around to see who had done it. The woman, realizing what had happened to her, approached in fear and trembling. She fell down before Jesus and told him the whole truth. He said to her, "Daughter, your faith has saved you. Go in peace and be cured of your affliction." While he was still speaking, people from the synagogue official's house arrived and said, "Your daughter has died. Why trouble the teacher any longer?" Disregarding the message that was reported, Jesus said to the synagogue official, "Do not be afraid. Just have faith." He did not allow anyone to accompany him inside, except Peter, James, and John, the brother of James. When they arrived at the house of the synagogue official, he caught sight of a commotion, people weeping and wailing loudly. So he went in and said to them, "Why this commotion and weeping? The child is not dead, but asleep." And they ridiculed him. Then he put them all out. He took along the child's father and mother and those who were with him and entered the room where the child was. He took the child by the hand and said to her, "Talitha cum," which means, "Little girl, I say to you, arise." The girl, a child of 12, arose immediately and walked around. At that they were utterly astounded. He gave strict orders that no one should know this, and said that she should be given something to eat. The Gospel of the Lord.
A good storyteller might unfold a tale in which two narratives are happening at the same time, one inside the other. For example, imagine a story set in World War II in occupied France. Against the larger backdrop of war, invasion, tyranny, an author might depict a village torn by different loyalties, some citizens collaborating with the Nazi invaders, others working for the French underground. To create tension, there might be a love relationship between two people on opposite sides. Our gospel passage from Mark today offers us a similar structure. We hear the interaction between Jesus and a synagogue official whose daughter is at the point of death. That story is broken into two parts, like two slices of bread, around a story of Jesus healing a woman with a hemorrhage. In that middle story, Jesus passes through a large crowd where the woman who has suffered for years from hemorrhages has the faith simply to touch Jesus' clothes. She believes that with this gesture, she'll be healed, and she is. When Jesus turns to look at her, she approaches him in fear and trembling. But Jesus says, "Daughter, your faith has saved you." Father Eugene Laverdiere, whose wonderful 2-volume commentary on Mark I use frequently in constructing my homilies, writes that this sandwich pattern invites us to see each event in the light of the other. The unifying element, he suggests, is faith. When the synagogue official gets a message that his daughter has died, Jesus assures him, "Do not be afraid, just have faith." The afflicted woman was afraid to approach Jesus. But, Father Laverdiere writes, by reaching out to Jesus in faith, this other daughter had found salvation. At the gospel's end, when Jesus has raised the little girl to life, he instructs the family to give her something to eat. We read this gospel in the context of the Eucharist, where the body and blood of Christ feeds us and nourishes our faith. In the midst of so many fearful things in life today, and not the least among them sickness and death, what feeds us is the call to have faith in Jesus, the one who saves.